Hello, everyone. I am Sethatina Newman, as you may already know, because I have been doing this now for 4 or 5 months, I think. And I started when I was running for president. And I'm actually going to talk about some things that Donald Trump is doing, President Trump is doing, and give you my take on how I think I would have done it as president. So there's been a lot of people bashing President Trump, but a lot of people voted for President Trump. I did not. I voted for me, as I've said before. Um, and I know that a lot of you just like to get sound bites. The whole long podcast is just too long to watch. So I'm hoping that what I provide to you will be short enough that you will listen to it, but enough information that we'll be able to have some conversation about it. So let's get started. The most recent thing that President Trump has done is sign an executive order about logging in our federal forests. Okay. Now, yes, logging is a good thing. We don't have to buy wood from Canada. We don't have to buy wood from wherever else we buy wood from. However, cutting down of trees in general is not healthy for the environment, nor is it healthy for us. However, in the past, the government has made a law that loggers have to plant 2 trees for every 1 tree that they take down. If President Trump's executive order has that stipulation in it that no matter how many trees are cut down, at least 2 more have to be replanted, I'm all good. I'm good for that choice. That way we don't have to pay somebody else. We can do it right here. And we can keep the forest healthy. We also need to make sure that we do allow some of the trees to fall naturally and support the soil. Because as a tree decomposes, those nutrients from the tree go back into the soil, and that's what helps the forest stay vital, stay vivacious, stay alive. Okay. Many animals live in those forests. Do I think it might be good to take down some of the trees in California so that they don't have as many forest fires? I don't know if that would actually work. It was brought up on one of the sound bites after his announcement of the executive order for increasing logging in the United States. Somebody said, well, maybe we should definitely cut down some of the trees in California. Oh, wait, they like to just let it burn. That's not right. They don't want to see it burn by any means. But would it help to reduce fires if we did cut down some of the trees in California? I don't know. That's something that forestry knows, which, oh, wait a minute. That's a federal agency. So they might not be around anymore. No, I don't agree with all of his cuts, but that's my next soundbite. So, secondly, when it comes to logging and getting why President Trump wants to log, is so that we don't have to buy wood for new buildings, new houses, new structures being built throughout the United States. Okay, totally get it. And the leftover wood is excellent for wood stoves and for fireplaces. So that can be sold to the average American person. I used to do that when I lived on the eastern shore of Maryland. We had a wood stove. We would go up to the local mill, and after they mill the wood for construction, then the leftovers we would use in our wood stove. Perfect use of any wood that was logged. So being able to sell that, being able for the American people to use it to heat their homes, that's awesome. Using everything. Now, when it comes to building, why do we have to build new communities on vacant land or on land that has the potential to grow more trees if we plant 2 for every 1 taken down? Why not go into neighborhoods that have vacant homes that are trying to fall down, that are being taken over by vines? Why not demolish those homes and build a new home there instead of in a vacant lot that could be used for agriculture, that could be used for, planting the trees, which still goes under agriculture, but nonetheless, you get my point. Why not renovate old houses that need some TLC? Why do companies have to go in and build these huge communities? There are plenty of houses that need some TLC. Plenty. There are plenty of houses in neighborhoods that need to be knocked down and have a new building put in, a new house put in. Let's increase the value of neighborhoods, increase the desire for the people living in that neighborhood to be proud of where they live. The American people are struggling financially, but let's help them build their soul, build their desires, build their emotions to a positive and a happy and healthy way. And that can start with not a new development, but a new home or a renovated home in their neighborhood. Just something to think about. Topic number 2, exposing financial fraud in the government. Do I agree with it? Absolutely. That was one of the platforms that I was running on. The government has been unchecked for too long. And I'm not just talking about, each individual Congress member. I am talking about the FBI, the CIA, the NASA, I can't think of all the letters, all the alphabet soup that's out there. But yeah, they all need to be evaluated and made accountable and responsible for their spending. I had an entire plan that did not involve a non-accountant going in and figuring it out. My plan as president would have been to hire accountants to figure out where everything is going. These accountants would have been vetted for their security, and so that they would be able to look at all finances and determine where those finances are going. Just as Elon Musk is supposedly doing, but Elon Musk is not an accountant. He is a businessman. Okay? He's not an accountant. And his security clearance, it may be secret or top secret, but that's because of SpaceX. That's because of his businesses, not because of his ability to determine finances for the United States. He's not an accountant. His security clearance is not accountant based, is not financial based. He shouldn't be doing this. Trump should not have allowed him to do this. But, he gave Trump a lot of money. So he's in there. Next thing with the exposing financial fraud is, they're firing people left and right. Okay. It's not good to just fire people if they weren't doing anything wrong. When you send in the accountants, or when I would have sent in the accountants, they would have been going to every place all at the same time. It would be okay, synchronize your watches at this time. Everybody goes into their respective agency in whatever state they're in. I don't care if it's midnight in California and 3:00 in the morning here in the United States, here in Maryland. One time, everybody goes in. That way, the people who are trying to hide things can't get rid of the evidence of where the money actually is going or where the money didn't go. Everything gets done at one time. Nobody gets fired, but everybody gets investigated at the same time. So nothing can be eliminated. Then and only then, once the investigation has started underway and people have been found guilty of fraud, that's when they get fired. You don't just say, oh, everybody's fired. No. Now, I realize that a lot of presidents have done this. Do I think it's the best way to do things? No. Okay. The United States of America is not a business. We are like a family. You have people who are potentially going to be the caregivers, and you're going to have people who are selfish and just want everybody to care for them and not reciprocate. You're going to have people who are frugal and want to save every penny. And you're going to have people who don't care where the money's coming from. They just want to spend it however they want to spend it. On themselves, on something that is frivolous. It doesn't matter. There are people that do that. There are people in many families that do that. There are people in families who work really hard. They work really hard. They do everything that they can. They put their 100% effort into everything that they do. And then you have people that work really hard to not work. That happens. I know a few. I know at least one in my family who works really hard at not working. Nonetheless, they're still family. And that's what the United States is. We are all people. We are all family to each other. If you live in the United States, we're a big country, trust me. But it's amazing how you find people who know people who know people who know somebody you know. Absolutely insane. So with the presidents in the past treating this country like a business, it hasn't worked. Where the country is not a business, it's not something to be acquired and reorganized, torn apart, and sold off to the highest bidder. That's not the United States of America. And there are plenty of people who think that running a country like a business is fine. It's the right way to go. But a business is an object. A business is something that produces something else. The United States is made up of people. You can't sell off people. So treating us like a business is like telling the American people that they're just objects to be sold, to be reorganized, to be rearranged. And if you don't like where you are, Tough. Doesn't work that way. And we should not accept it. With all that being said, yes, we need to get rid of the family members who are selfish, who are thinking only of themselves. They are a strain on the family. They're a strain on our economics. They're a strain on our workforce. Okay. Maybe we can rehabilitate them. Maybe we can help them learn that, hey, why don't you help out somebody else? Why don't you look and see, back to the selfish part, how you feel when you do something? Play into their inner core. Yeah. Look at how you feel when you do something for somebody else. Again, putting it back on them that it's going to benefit them. We need to teach those who spend our money how to spend it wisely, not frivolously. Okay. And to spend it on what it's been allocated for. If it's allocated for Project A, you're not going to spend that money on Project Z just because Z comes up. Doesn't work that way. You know, the people who spend our money need to do it wisely. But at the same time, those members who are frugal and want to keep everything, they need to realize that there are times to spend. There is a happy medium. There's a happy medium for everything. Anytime you do something, there's always a balanced place. Let's try and find that balanced place. Okay. As for, what's the next one? We need to encourage those members who do not do their jobs correctly or at all to either get to work and do the job or get out and let somebody in that does do the work. You know, when we have children and we want them to learn how to sweep, how to do the dishes, we don't just throw them in and say, oh, here you go, and leave them. They have to be shown. They have to be taught. Same with any kind of job. If you have the qualifications, fantastic. Then do the job when you get hired. If you have the qualifications, don't lie about having qualifications if you don't. Because in a job, you can't say, oh, I have it, and then not do it, because then the job fails. And if you're working in a corporation, then the corporation fails. And that's not beneficial to anybody. But if you don't have qualifications, there's nothing to say that you can't be taught. If a company has the time and the willingness to do that. As an employer, maybe you could think about that. Get somebody who has the more of the will to do it, is excited about doing it, even if they don't know how, you can teach them. Because somebody with excitement about doing a job versus somebody who has all the experience because they've been doing it for 20, 30, 40 years, they're there probably because their last company went under, or they got fired from the last company, or they just couldn't handle the staff anymore. But they're still going to be tired of doing that job. Try somebody new. Teach them what to do. You're more likely to get productivity out of an excited person than necessarily an experienced person. But again, you have to decide as an employer if you have the time to teach the new staff whatever the job is. But nonetheless, people who work really hard at not working, they are also putting a strain on the family. Look at our welfare system. Look at our I can't think of the name of it now. Our housing, our Section 8 housing. Look at our WIC program. Do I want to take stuff away from children? Absolutely not. But why is it needed? Okay. Now, I will say, yes, I was on WIC with my first child. I was on WIC for about 6 months. And then I went back to work because it was more difficult to not find a job than to find a job while I was staying home with my daughter. Now, there are a lot of people who when it comes to welfare and WIC, there are a lot of people who would actually be working just to pay daycare. But at the same time, daycare is important because that's how the children are going to learn if mom and dad can't be there to teach them. So it's a huge circle. It's a huge catch-22. But my main point is that the presidents of the past and the current president view the United States as a business. We're not a business. We are people. You want to fix a business? Then don't be the president. Be the president of your own company. If you want to take apart businesses, go for it. The United States is not a business. The United States are humans. We are made up of humans with emotions, with feelings, with desires, with needs. And that is what the President of the United States should help take care of. You should be looking into what is best for the country of the American people. That is what I was running on. Helping the American people to be the best that they can be. Some of President Trump's ideas are good. But there needs to be some qualifiers along with it. As I said, financial fraud, definitely something to look into. But we need to look into it with accountants that are trained to find things that are wrong. A businessman isn't going to be able to do that when he doesn't know all the ins and outs of the federal government, when he doesn't know all the ins and outs of the military, when he doesn't know all the ins and outs of how things are spent, what is needed for road repair, what is needed for infrastructure. He's not going to know that. We need to have accountants who are trained in those areas to look into the fraud, to look into where the money has been going, and to investigate the people who have been using that money, who have been spending that money, and then decide who needs to be let go and who doesn't. The mass fire is beneficial for anybody. But our unemployment rate has gone sky high. But let's look at the United States as a family. One of the other types of people in a family are those who like to be in control. And that's definitely President Trump. And there are some people who like to sit back and say, okay, you know what? I don't want it. I don't want the control. Be my guest. I'll listen and I'll follow. And we need those people too. We can't all be the leader. We can't all be the chefs in the same kitchen. We can't all be the president. We can't all be the CEO. We can't all be the matriarch or the patriarch. There has to be some workers. There has to be some leaders. It doesn't mean one's better than the other. Just because somebody has a desire to be the leader doesn't mean that they know everything. And so they need to have other people around them, such as President Trump has his cabinet. But those people should know about the topics that they're helping the president with. You know, the Secretary of Homeland Security, they should know something about what's needed for Homeland Security. What are we looking for? What do we need to make sure we have? The Secretary of Mr. Kennedy of Human Services. He needs to have some medical background. He needs to know what he's saying. No, we shouldn't be doing this anymore. You know, so just because you have somebody who likes to be the leader or likes to be in control and has people around him who are happy to follow, those people also need to be aware of their responsibilities and have some knowledge of what those responsibilities are and have knowledge of the topics that they are working on. So, and those individuals in charge, they also need to make sure that they're willing to listen to others and consider others' ideas. Because as I've said before, when I was a teacher, if something wasn't working with a student and one of the other assistant teachers would bring up an idea, I'm like, sure, let's try it. You know, if it works, fantastic, we'll keep on doing it. But we're not going to know unless we try it. Same thing with President Trump. You know, he's signing all these executive orders, bypassing Congress, and that's not how our government works. That's not how a good leader should work. A good leader should be listening. A good leader should be bouncing ideas off of the people around him. So, like I said, there are definitely things that I agree with that President Trump is doing. But there needs to be a caveat as to how it's getting done. The what is good. The how, maybe not so much. So I encourage everybody to just, let me know your thoughts. These are things that I think about. These are topics that I'm concerned about, but that doesn't mean everybody else is. And you may not agree with my concerns. You may be a person that follows and says, yes, he's the best thing since, apple pie. And everybody has a right to their own opinion. This is my opinion. And I would encourage you to let me know your opinion. I would ask that you try to be respectful because it's just a conversation. I'm not attacking anybody. I encourage everybody's opinion and I encourage everybody's ideas. I encourage understanding why people think the way they do. But as for my ideas, like I said, yes and no. I would do things differently. Doesn't mean my ideas are the best, but I would be looking more at the humanitarian side of everything, not the dictatorial side of everything. So thank you for watching and listening, and hopefully commenting soon. And if you actually watch this whole video, I pray that you have a wonderful week, and I will see you in a couple weeks. Thanks a lot. Take care, and God bless America.